Good. So I'm very happy to be here. My name is John Sebastian Butcherton, Mathieu, Butcherton, please. So my friends call me WallabyJS, but I don't have friends actually, so I never tried. Maybe we can try later. You call me WallabyJS and we see if I'm happy. So I'm really happy to be in Paris because I love Victor Hugo, Cosette. She works hard. I like that. And I tried to take a picture of Eiffel Tower yesterday. It was hard. The only picture I could take is this one. But the good thing is that you have fun games in Paris. So yesterday I discovered underground pétanque with Camille. So big round of applause for Camille and the whole crew. Stop. Good. Thank you. Don't have much time. I'm going to pause the time and start again. And so today I want to show you a little app I'm working on. I love food and I love meat. And I have this application where you search recipes and my boss is asking me to add a next and previous button so that we can see more than 3 recipes. We need pagination. And so today I will show you how I use AI to do that. Okay? It's an Angular application and I will do that. So how does this work? I open my IDE, I can use cursor, I can use cloud code, whatever. And here, I don't know which model to choose. So there is a nice command called best of n. And I just ask it, can you please use GPT, Codex, Sonnet, very good model, fast, so that I can have a quick feedback. Can you use Opus too? Then can you use Gemini? And maybe I can have like a quick response from Gemini Flash. Then I can use Composer, very nice model from Cursor. And here, I will ask it to add, of course, add recipe search pagination. Good. Who's using AI today here? Who's using AI just to ask questions? Who's using IDE integration or CLI like Cloud Code to do the whole work? Who's letting the agent do everything? Good. So, and I run this, and this will start multiple sub-agents. Each sub-agent is using different model, and at the end it will give me the results from different models, and I can pick whatever works better. And here you go. So they're all working. So of course, this takes lots of time. So what do you do when it takes time? You multitask, right? You do something else. And personally, I cook. So because you're all coming for dinner tonight, so I brought I only have 1 little onion. So we'll see what we can. How far can we go? And then I just let the thing go. And I keep it running and watching if it needs a prompt or something. Is it working? What's wrong? Oh, here they are, the agents running. Uh-oh. It's not working. No, it's okay. Shit happens. And so I'll let this work. Okay, it's good. The phones again. Who's that? Is that you? Give me your phone. Give me your phone. Ah, sorry, it's mine. Yes. Good, what do you want? It's my boss. What do you want? Yes. What? Seriously?
En raison de l'incident de speaker, nous observons un léger retard de 4 heures. Nous tiendrons informés de l'évolution de la situation. Pour toute réclamation, merci de déposer votre courrier dans la poubelle la plus proche. Our translator is on sick leave. Please remain seated and wait until Monday for further information.
What's your problem? Let me go. It was, what's your intro? And the smoke machine didn't work. What's your problem? Oh, come on, stop with your this thing. You're stupid. What? I'm stupid. Listen, move. Hey, everyone. Sorry for being late. I had like my shaving thing didn't work. So that's how it is. So sorry for the waste of time by my friend there. I don't know what he started on my machine, and he broke everything, even my clicker. And do all I just. This is too expensive. Takes too much time. Let me think differently. So my name is Younes, and I use social media and internet. So you can find me there. I have a little YouTube channel also if you want to watch some stuff around these topics. I'm from Lyon, and these are the worst pictures that I found online from Lyon. And I'm a software cook, so just like you, I like cooking software. So I try to find the right ingredients, the right spices, and put them together. And maybe I'm like, oh, maybe too much of this ingredient. Maybe I'm using too much of RxJS. Maybe not enough. Oh, man. OK, so the agents are still... Stop. Stop. Ah, God, I cannot stop it. Good. You know what? Okay. And I'm a software cook, as I said. And the idea is to find the right balance. Too much AI, not enough. Too much tooling, not enough. And two of my favorite spices are Angular and NX, and therefore I'm a Google developer expert for Angular and NX champion. I don't like the words expert and champion because I see myself more as a link of between like the community and the team behind these tools. And so if you have any questions or you want to raise some issues, please let's chat about it later. And for the living, I have my brand called marmicode.io, and I give trainings and coachings to enhance development workflows and improve the testing strategy in general, because it's kind of crucial in terms of the development workflow. And so what happened here with Butcher.js, what happened with Butcherton is that one of the things that I was thinking of when he started his talk is the polarization problem and the reactance bias. You know the reactance bias, well, it's, you know that friend that comes to you and they're like, oh, you know, you have to try that movie and that restaurant, they're super cool. And the more they talk about it, the less you want to go there. Do you see what I mean? Do you see that's happening in AI? Like people talk so much about, oh, this is the right workflow, this is the best approach. And you're like, yeah, like they're overselling it. And so the thing is that we often end up between the two extremes of I'm not going to use AI at all, and the other extreme is I'm going to be orchestrating teams of AI agents and just a factory and it works alone, etc. That couldn't work in some cases, and maybe that could become the default in some time. Maybe, I don't know. But for right now, in most applications that are aiming for the long term, you want something in between. You still want control over the architecture, right? So maybe there's something in between. So now I want you just to think of what could be like the workflows or tools that could help us there between like no AI and vibe coding and orchestrating teams of architects. And I will try to hear your minds. So this is what's happening in all our minds. Like there's lots of noise and you have to choose something. And one of the two main pain points that I want to highlight today, there's many pain points, but I want to try to focus on two big ones. The first one is scope and architecture drift. Scope drift is you ask for pagination and the AI agent is adding infinite scroll and indicators and spinners and you didn't ask for. Does that happen to you sometimes? Okay. And the other problem is architecture drift. Yeah, the agent takes some strategy in terms of architecture and you're just like, yeah, it looks nice. I don't understand the whole thing, but why not? And so you're losing control over the architecture. Does that happen? Okay, thanks. Because otherwise, I'm not getting the pain points then. And the other thing is that the whole workflow can be slow and expensive. And here, first misunderstanding when I say slow and expensive, it's not just about the money that we spend on the LLMs or the agents. It's about our time, okay? It's not always efficient. Like we can waste lots of time in reviewing sometimes, don't you? So, and that can be expensive. There are things that can be cheaper, other things that can be expensive, and that's what I want to dive in. And this all comes from different root causes, and one of the first root causes that I'm personally observing is anchoring bias. Anchoring bias is that the first piece of information that you see will strongly influence your thoughts. You see what I mean? If you sit next to someone, for example, if you do pair programming, if you sit next to someone, you will influence each other from time zero. But if someone starts writing a design doc or starts writing some code, then you jump in one day later, it's a totally different story because there's some anchoring bias, because there's something there to just add some nitpicks or you just add some points, but you don't question the whole thing. And does this happen to you also with agents? Like the agent starts in a way it looks good, you're like, yeah, can you just add this and that? You know, you're not questioning the whole thing. First, because it would be too expensive, because you'd be like, oh, now I have to rethink the whole thing. And this causes a first problem, which is isolated decisions. We already had this problem that some development workflows or development methodologies try to fix, like extreme programming, for those who know about it. And now it's getting worse, is that us developers are working solo more than before. Does it happen to you? Because previously you would get stuck and you would ask your coworker, like, hey, what do you think of this? And they're like, what are you working on? We don't need that feature anymore. But now the agent is like, yeah, great idea. Let's rewrite the whole engine. I can do that in 1 hour. And so you can make isolated decisions that way. Then there's cognitive depth, which is, of course, you know, when you're watching the code, the big picture is there, the tests are passing, and at some point there is some return type that is a pretty crazy TypeScript to generic. And you're like, well, it seems to work, but you have no clue how it works, okay? And so you're losing some skills about some code there that you have the responsibility of and that you have the ownership of. And so you can come to Romain, talk about TypeScript later today. And otherwise, you can let the agents and see and lose control. And the other thing is unconscious choices. The agent makes choices and decisions that can affect the long term, but you don't see that. It's sneaking some things. It's adding a third-party package. It's adding that thing. It chose some strategy. It's added infinite scroll, but you never asked for it. And hence the drift. So it's going in a direction that is not your initial direction, but you don't notice it. Then the other problem is that we tend to not have enough checkpoints or gates. So it means that you let the agent work for minutes or hours, then you review the whole thing. And we need more baby steps. Otherwise, you get review fatigue. Who loves reviewing? There's always two guys. Why? Like, who loves reviewing 1,000 lines of code? Oh man, we have to talk. Really, don't leave at the end. I want to talk about how your brain works because I'm curious, really, because I can't. I personally can't. So I'm really curious. And the reason why I can't is that agents have a maximum output of hundreds of thousands of tokens, and they can produce more because each piece of code is not produced like in one session. And personally, my maximum input is around 1,000 tokens. Give me more and I stop listening. Give me more and I stop reviewing. Okay? I don't know about you, but I'm a 1,000 tokens per second. It's about less than 100 lines. And otherwise, I just smoke. Does it work? No. Oh, yes. Oh, a little bit. How to waste some time. And the other problem is the steering cost. The steering cost is you go so far in a direction. Imagine you ask an agent to do something. The agent works for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour, okay, and drifts. Also, there's the problem of sometimes if the task is easy, it can take 1 minute, but if something glitches at the end, some test is not passing, some length is not passing, it can get into a loop, and that loop can be very long and very slow and go and drift, you know, and you lose control. And the steering cost becomes expensive because you've been waiting 30 minutes cutting onions, you know, and then you review that thing. It's not perfect. It's not what you've been thinking of. What do? Do you throw away that code? Do you have the courage of throwing away 30 minutes of waiting or or reviewing? Because you have to review all that thing and then be like, nah, now that I reviewed it, do I throw it away? How many times do you throw away something that you've been reviewing for half an hour? Who did that? Okay. Reiner there, we work together, he knows about it. We write lots of PRs that we throw away. And they were like, oh, let's do it again. And the steering cost can be expensive. So, and there's also a slow feedback loop. And like in software development, what is crucial is feedback loop. We try to have like fast tests and everything so that I can make a change, see if it's going in the right directions. Because otherwise what happens? You keep multitasking. You keep context switching. Who loves context switching and multitasking and working on 5 things at a time and cooking at the same time, you know? Yeah, great. So personally, I'm really bad at it. My context switching tax is to the roof. Like, give me 2 tasks in the day, it takes me 6 hours to switch from one to the other. So, and that's how we end up being slow and how things can be expensive, not just in terms of like token usage, but really in terms of the workflow. And all these things affect each other. I'm not going to get into that because it's going to take much more time, but each thing affects some other things here. And I could explain that for hours, but let's stop here. So what did people come with? So, sorry, I really have to drink. So people came up with spec-driven development, which is the idea of what could go wrong if we start with a plan. I mean, it reminds me of something. 60 years ago, people came up with waterfall. You write a specification of 100 pages, and if things go wrong at the end, by the end of the year, if developers don't get it right, it's probably a mistake in the specification. Or maybe it's just the developers that are bad. So next time we will write 200 pages of specification, you know. But what if we can manage something like more readable and we can write specifications first, because that could be cheaper to review, easier to review, just Markdown that tells us what's the plan. I'm going to write this, I'm going to do some research there, and here's the task that I'm going to do. I'm going to do this first, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And the agent says that. I'm like, that's good. Let's agree on this contract. And then the agent produces 2,500 lines of Markdown to review. This is for the pagination. Okay? So I don't know. This is a real question. I don't have an answer for that. Do you prefer reviewing Markdown or code? Or tests? Markdown? 2,000. Do you prefer, okay, code? Oh, nice. Tests? Okay, I'm leaving. And do you prefer to review, those who raised their hands for Markdown, do you prefer to review 2,000 lines of Markdown or 500 lines of code? Code, okay, good, good. So, okay, so you have 2,500 lines. And then you put the autopilot on the boat, you're like, okay, go. And it starts navigating, good. Then real life happens. Things go wrong. Some linter rule says this is not possible or something, so the plan has to change. maybe you configured your workflow to prompt you at that time to intercept that, and there's a gate that says stop here, bring the human in the loop and ask them. Or maybe not. That's often the default. So the agent improvises the solution and changes the direction a little bit and navigates to somewhere else. And then you're like, I don't think this is the right continent. Shut up, you killjoy, it's fine. Let's call it Indians. And so that's one of the big problems. So what could be a solution? Like a better solution could be, maybe, to go with something more incremental. For example, you start with a design doc, which is a tiny spec. It's very different. Then what if you write failing tests? You ask the agent to write failing tests that you can review. And this is easier to read, actually, if you get used to it. Then you ask it to make the test pass. That's TDD. The test is failing, make it pass, however you can. And then I can refactor things if things go wrong. Or I can ask the agent to refactor. Once the tests are passing, it's easier to do this way and to separate the steps. And what's interesting when you see this TDD approach with the design doc is that you realize that the creative work is at the top and the less creative work is at the bottom, and that the agent is better at doing the stuff at the bottom. And so you can balance, depending on the complexity of the task, more or less human participation on the steps. So you have, and you can then have your agent skills and harnesses or whatever helps you control this whole thing and improve the workflow. So the big picture is, this is what I call charted coding, is that you have a compass and you're charting live. And so you have the charting and you keep redirecting the thing. Then you have autopilots for just making the task pass. And then you can steer whatever you want, whenever you want. So, thank you. OK, so let's watch this in action. Just have to put my cooking apron on, because coding can get dirty. Oh, sorry for this. Here we go. So this time, I will have my agent here, and I will start with charted design, and I'll ask the agent to help me design my feature. And I'll be like, add recipe search pagination. This is fantastic. It's always writing imagination. I don't know what's wrong with my pronunciation. So here we just write one tiny little design doc for the feature. This is a skill that is open source that you can use, but what I encourage you to do is just to check it out and customize it. It's just what I want to share with you is not a tool. It's really a concept. So here it's asking me what are my goals, and this is very important in a design doc. It's not about how to implement the thing, it's why. Why do you want this? Not what do you want. I don't want pagination. What I want is that, what's the problem you're solving? I want users to discover more recipes, because right now they can only see the last 3 recipes. The last 3 recipes that were added, anyway. And here, it's interviewing me. Well, sometimes it's more interactive. It depends on cursor, I don't know why. So you have like the combo box where you can check. And what's really interesting here is that the design doc, and this is in the skill, I highly recommend this, it's writing it step by step. So you can stop here, commit this, push it, and ask your coworkers to review it. Because if you don't have the goals right, it's better to know it right now. You know. And so there are different things here. Let me show you the final version of it. I don't know about the zoom level. So you have the goals. Another thing which is very important is the non-goals. For example, I don't want infinite scroll because it's against our company policy. I see you scrolling there. And then I have the desired behavior. What do I want as features? Some ideas about the design. Here you can have some code snippets, some implementation details, some packages you're going to use. You can have some diagrams. Here I have like components with their outputs and inputs, etc. And some implementation details like the types and etc. And what's very important for me here is the testing strategy. Here's what I want. I want to test this component this way, this way, this way. And I did all this interactively with the agent. And sometimes I even, some design docs, I write them completely from scratch because the whole thing is complex and I don't want to be biased by the agent, okay? It depends on the complexity of the thing. And at the end, I have a PR plan. It's not just a task list. It's a PR plan is really the idea of you try as much as possible. Some agents are good at this, some are less, some models are better. With some skills, they can get a little bit better. But it's the idea of how can I make the feature incremental? How can I start with something that I can merge in the main branch without breaking anything so that I can have a PR that is like 50 lines of code? And alternatives considered are very important so that you remember what to avoid and why. And finally, the kitchen sink. And this one is an idea from my friend Alex Okrushko at the back. We had this discussion, I think, 2 years ago about design docs. Because design docs are not related to AI development. It's something that you can use even if you're not using AI agents. And the kitchen thing is the place where you just throw away some stuff, like some random ideas for later to sort them out and stuff like that. Anyway, and from here, the next step is that I have another skill that's called charted review. And here I can ask the agent to review my work. That's more interesting. And actually, the agent will pop different sub-agents that I control. One of them is a security engineer. The other one is an accessibility engineer. The other one is an UX engineer. And the other one is an XP coach, extreme programming coach that loves simplicity. What's super funny is that the UX guy is always asking for more features, and the extreme programming one is always asking for less. So the agent on top is asked to, at the end, to see if there's any conflict, and if there is a conflict, they send the counter argument to the other one and try to find the best alternative where they all agree, like a consensus. So that's pretty cool. So it's just like what you have in a team, usually. So it's really nice. Sometimes it's lots of things that you have to throw away. Anyway, so I'm going to stop it here. And then, here's the most interesting part, even though I'm almost out of time. And here, what I will do, I will ask the agent to scaffold this PR number 1. So what is scaffolding? How many times do you review a PR and there's 300 lines of code? 200 lines of the code are a new package, a PNPM log change, an NX library that was added. Who's using NX here? Okay, good. So, and it creates lots of files that are just noise. And you can have some precious information into these configurations that were changed. So the scaffolding, what did it do? The scaffolding is actually doing this. It's creating the components and types that I want, and they are, ready, replicated. Have you ever heard of this? It's not a common word, because it's something I came up with. So it's something, I use this a lot, is that I deprecate things that are work in progress. This component cannot be used, so it's replicated. Okay? And it's deprecated as marked as work in progress, and it's not implemented. This way, if someone starts using it, what do they get? It's obviously stricken through. So you can really merge this in the main branch, and people using it will see this, and they will get a warning. And if they really use it in production and push it and deploy it, you have other issues in your team. Anyway, so, and it generated my tests just in plain English. This is the requirements that I put. This is the test strategy from my design doc. Okay, plain English. I can review this. Does it look good? Usually the agent doesn't make that much mistake on this because it's just like moving the stuff. And now, what becomes interesting is that is charted red. And I'm asking it to write just the first test here. Okay, the test is ready. So I don't have to multitask, it's instant. It looks good, I can review this, commit, push. And I'm using vtest here for my test, and I'm using a tool called WallabyJS, which is sadly not free, except if you're doing open source. And, but it's really worth it, because it helps you debugging tests, etc. And one of the things is that, so here my test is failing. I can see why it's failing. It cannot find the button, obviously. And what's interesting about this tool is that it provides an MCP tool for your agent so that the agent can know which tests are passing and which tests are not passing, and it's instant. It's not running the test all the time. That's what most agents do, what most configurations do, and it's slow. The tests are running, are watched by Wallaby, and the result is served to the MCP, but that's not the only thing. The agent can ask the MCP tool to give them the value of this variable right now, or any variable. So the agent can debug variables, etc., while running your test. So it's pretty cool. And now, I will ask my agent to make the test pass. So it enables the test, and it implemented just the previous button. This one was really hard. I had to do lots of capital cases and, exclamation mark to tell the agent, do not implement things that are not tested, okay? And sometimes this can be slow. You're not gonna do this for each test. If the tests are pretty simple, you can just go ahead and say, you know what, just do all the tests, okay? And then it will start implementing all these tests, and I can review them pretty quickly. And then I can say, okay. And I can say, keep implementing this until everything passes. And so it's enabling the tests one by one, because this is what I do when I TDD. I write my tests and I enable them one by one, make them pass one by one, and I'm done. Feature is ready. Good, you can move on. And the review cost is pretty low, as you noticed. So here are the numbers. And up. So now that we're done cooking, let me just remove the apron. Okay, so here are the numbers. So I used Spec Kit on the left, I used charted coding on the right, and I measured the cost one by one. It was really hard, but I did it. And the review cost, and how much stuff was produced, and how much things are to review there. And problem is, the real cost, I was sad about the result, because actually it was more expensive with charted coding. Thank you. Anyway, so what matters is not the whole, that's cost, that's just the LLM cost. What matters is the steering cost and the delay. When you ask the agent to just do a whole thing and it takes like 5, 10, hundreds of dollars to make it, and then, do you throw it away or not? What's interesting with charted coding is that each step is tiny, and what's interesting is the cost review of that thing. And you can see it here. When you use Spec Kit, you have 6 times more markdown to review. Okay, for the same task. And in terms of code, you have 600 lines for Spec Kit, and you have less than, I don't know, an average of like less than 100 lines each time you review something. And you can see that the sum is a little bit the same, but not really, because some lines are added, then removed, because you have the to-do, the comments, etc. So globally, when you review the whole thing, you have half the number of lines of code. So in terms of review fatigue, it's way cheaper, and you're less context switching, there's less review fatigue, and you ship actually faster because you don't drift. So the review cost, and that's the real cost. The review cost is actually half of it in this experiment. So if you want to try it away, you can install the skills. You use the design to generate design doc, you review, you scaffold, you make the test fail, and then make them green. And this way you have like a more controlled trajectory and cheaper steering cost, because you can steer, and you have lower token usage, of course. And you're more focused because you don't keep context switching. And so that's all the magic that's about it. And just one last thing, you can find the code and the slides here with the QR code. You will also find my free cookbook of Angular and NX and charted coding soon. And my video course, there is a feedback form on this QR code, mainly about your pain points with AI and testing. And you can win my video course. Someone from you will get the course. And I'm also running workshops and on Angular testing and charted coding. Angular testing is in June, charted coding is around September. And the early birds are ending next week. So you have like a discount right now. It's not 5%. Okay, now you get it. And that's it. Merci. Merci. Hop.